Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdsson of World Alternative Media here, and welcome to another one of our live shows here. We're going to go into several topics today. We got lots of news and headlines that are hitting us. We're going to let some people tune in. Make sure, while we're waiting, make sure to check the links below. Make sure to press like on the video, and I appreciate all questions and comments. We're going to go through as many questions as possible, and super chats help a lot as well. And check out our Teespring store and float.app, flote.app. Anyway, we have some comments coming in, and we got one from LTC Perosi that says, yes, I agree. Yes, especially with Litecoin lately. Bitcoin, Ethereum, he says, yeah, absolutely. Privileged white male says, cheers, wham. Cheers to you as well. Let's get into a few things while some people tune in. We've been looking quite a bit at Zero Hedge today, and there have been a few interesting stories coming up on our watch. We're going to go into a few right now, including this craziness out of the Ukraine. We've been hearing nothing about for years Russian collusion. Now it's nothing but Ukrainian collusion. It's just, it's annoying. As we see, this article says Ukraine launches criminal probe into illegal surveillance of American ambassador fired by Trump. And as the article says, the first domino in the House Dems plan to push moderate Republicans to support a decision to call witnesses during President Trump's impeachment trial has just fallen. As we reported earlier this week, House Dems released a cache of notes and texts from former Rudy Giuliani associate Lev Parnas, who has been accused of funneling foreign money to the Trump campaign. And as it goes into here, it says text messages released from March 2019 between Parnas and Robert Hyde, a Connecticut resident who is planning a congressional run on the Republican ticket, appears to shed light on a plot to try and oust former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. In this conversation, the two discussed rumors that Yovanovitch was being protected by the Kremlin. How's that for Russian influence? They also allegedly discussed the ambassador's whereabouts and how they had a person on the inside to keep tabs on her. Man, these names. Yovanovitch was eventually pushed out, and now Ukraine has opened a criminal case into the possibility of illegal surveillance of Yovanovitch during her time as ambassador, according to a release from the Ukraine Interior Ministry. Yovanovitch, who provided evidence to the House, claimed she was spied on before being fired by President Trump, according to The Independent. Keep in mind, many of the handwritten notes released yesterday were unverified and updated, though Dems alleged they were written by Parnas. But that didn't stop Yovanovitch's lawyer from calling for an investigation after the notes and texts allegedly suggested that she was being watched. However, to many people, the behavior being described is no different from having an office mole who feeds information about employees to the boss. That being said, we're sure the Dems will use this as an excuse to revive the Russian interference narrative. Of course, when the Dems inevitably push to call Parnas as a witness, Republicans can counter with a totally legitimate political quid pro quo, calling Parnas as a witness in exchange for calling Hunter Biden. It's so much drama in the political field, and it's getting really annoying, especially with the Ukrainian-Russian interference kind of nonsense. I mean, governments aggress against governments. They're organized crime rackets. They aggress against the people about a lot more, and not enough people are talking about that. Instead, they're focused on Russian and Ukrainian interference. I mean, the Bidens were obviously working with the Ukrainian government. We're getting secret deals. And then Trump called, the Russian prime minister and asked for this to be investigated. And then they decided, well, it's time to try and impeach him. And I just find it's ironic to say the least, because it's like you're just picking and choosing who is allowed to be corrupt and who's not. I mean, the whole system itself is corrupt. What about that? It's all distraction. It's all a big distraction. This whole impeachment thing. Like Epstein was all over the news, Julian Assange was all over the news, and then they're just like, oh, impeachment, and everyone's like glued to that. They're like, It's like a soap opera basically. It's like a reality show, and people are um, glued to their TV and regurgitating whatever the TV tells them to say. Oh, well, Trump is somehow working with the Russians. How is he working with the Russians? Well, where's the evidence? Oh, well, there's this. Oh, never mind. That evidence doesn't exist, and the whole thing's a whitewash. And but now we've lost that narrative. How about? Oh, I got it. The Ukraine, which is an enemy of Russia, technically. So it's like, what? It's like, do people have no idea of geopolitics in general? So they're just like, oh, Ukraine sounds kind of Russian-y. They're enemies. Like, it's just like, which one are they aggressing? And what about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's work with Ukraine? It's just like, I can't help but just look at this as one gigantic distraction. And it's very, very frustrating to watch. We got some people tuning in on the chat here. Make sure to press like if you haven't already. Privileged White Male says, anybody get their privilege card? I applied in 17. Once I heard about it, I reach out monthly. No response. Grambo says, do you think that there will be a future war start up the war economy and trying to prevent the collapse of the petrodollar? I believe that that's a big part of what we're seeing right now is the perpetuation of all-out war. In order to prop up the monetary system. By the way, Michaela Curley says Corpus Christi, Texas. Good to see you. Glad you joined us from the Central Time Zone. Yeah, I believe that every single monetary crisis is met with a war. We can go back to the 1914 to 1918, World War I to World War II, propping up the economy after the Great Depression. Then you can move over to, for example, the Korean War, the Vietnam War. They all follow a monetary crisis. And then, of course, we saw the Gulf War following the 1987 crisis. And then we see the, 9/11 follow the dot-com bubble, or around the same time as the dot-com bubble, Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. After the 2008 recession, which is prolonged to today and is still happening but papered over. We saw, for example, Libya and Yemen and all those things, and an attempt to go to war with Iran. And now we're in a crisis, and it's like, well, let's try Iran again. I guess that might work out. Eric Turner says, are you pro-Trump? No, I'm not pro any government official. I'm pro me. I'm pro you. I'm pro individuals. I'm pro freedom. I don't support governments, any of them. I sympathize with a lot of people that are mad that Trump is pushed around by the media, because he definitely is. But I'm one that believes that most of that is usually by design, because it's a media and it writes the scripts for us to regurgitate, and they divide us against each other and distract us from the real enemies, so that we can just fight amongst ourselves infighting, completely scripted. If you haven't already, make sure to press like on this video, send super chats, it makes a huge difference, and check those links below. We got t-shirts, we got lots of stuff at the Teespring store. Anything helps, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm going through as many questions as I can today. Roger Howitt says, hey, good to see you. Rogue Agent says the globalism, feminism was done in order to reduce the amount of tribalism that is a natural part of human behavior. Tribalism creates large wars. Obviously, that is a benefit. Jack Yauman says, wow, Josh has busted the internet again. Breaking news. Well, we are breaking news today. In fact, I got some more stuff to go into. What is with people saying that it's a bad thing to use the term breaking news? I've had a bunch of comments lately, like, why are you saying breaking news? Because the news is breaking. That's what it means, literally. It's breaking news. ARGTV 100 says, so you're a pro, huh? No, I literally said that I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not pro any politician. I don't know how you got that I was a pro-Trump out of me saying I'm not pro-Trump. I'm not pro any politician, period. I'm pro me, pro you, pro freedom, like I said. Michael Pierce says, like most people, we don't have a lot of power in which direction a government turns. Of course, because a government is just built up on always growing. It's a cancer. You can cut it down 95%, 5% remaining. That 5% will grow, and that's how cancer works. It's a fungus that just spreads among things. ARGTV 100 says, trying to tease you, my friend. All right. I wasn't sure, because I'm like, I just said something completely different. Privileged White Male says, I'm pretty sure he was complimenting you, not saying that you're pro-Trump. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Lois G. Todd says, this impeachment is teaching the public. Teaching the public that they're easily distracted, in my opinion. Let's get into another story here. I'm just pulling up random headlines that are breaking right now. Let's see how the distraction mechanism, the media itself, is doing these days, despite their attempt to monopolize themselves on things like YouTube while totally shadow banning people like myself. Which, by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to press like. Help us out any way you can. Check the links below. And super chats make a huge difference. It's the only way we make money today. Literally, period, on YouTube. So anyway, let's see what this says here. All right. I apologize for being on my phone here. I have really no choice. As it says on Zero Hedge, Sean Davis goes scorched earth on CNN after attempted takedown of Bernie. And as this article goes into, in the wake of CNN's latest fake news scandal, in which they appear to have conspired with Elizabeth Warren to frame Bernie Sanders as a misogynist. That's hilarious. A claim virtually nobody believes. The Federalist's Sean Davis began crushing the anti-Trump network in a Thursday tweet storm of Federalist articles highlighting notable lies and incompetence. And as the article continues here, it says, to review the night before the week's Democratic debate, CNN, clearly using sources from Warren's campaign, floated an article claiming that Sanders told Warren in a private 2018 meeting that a woman can't beat Donald Trump in 2020. The next night, CNN ignored Bernie's denial and asked Warren how she felt when Bernie said that, framing the question as if there was no dispute that Bernie said it. It was so bad that MSNBC's Morning Joe called out the fake news network. Oh, man. Daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski, the father of the Trilateral Commission and Technocracy in China. Continuing on, it says, then CNN waited a day to milk a hot mic moment in which Warren steps to Bernie and says, I think you call me a liar on live TV. Continuing on, it shows this tweet here. From Benny. Dear Bernie supporters, Bernie Sanders supporters, this is ironclad proof that CNN colluded with Elizabeth Warren to knife your candidate in the back last night. Warren did this BS on stage with the mics hot because she knew it would be released. CNN is trash propaganda. Gee, you think? Continuing on, it says, hilariously, when CNN approached Senator Martha McSally, a Republican from Arizona, to question unrelated to Bernie, she called the network's Manu Raju, who falsely reported that Trump Jr. had advance notice of WikiLeaks dumps, a liberal hack. You see this tweet from Scott Adams here that says, is it my imagination, or was CNN attempting to take down, or CNN's attempted to take down Bernie this week, a turning point in how the public sees the news business? And anyway, we'll continue on. It says, so without further delay, the Federalist Sean Davis owns CNN 6 ways from Sunday, and it says, CNN still refuses to explain why or how MK or Raju fabricated the date on an email to falsely claim Donald J. Trump Jr. secretly coordinated with WikiLeaks prior to their document dump in 2016. And it continues on here. CNN cut 540 words to frame Trump for favor he never requested. And as it continues here, CNN still hasn't corrected false story on Comey's classified memos. And it continues here. CNN settles lawsuit after defaming pro-life Covington Catholic student Nick Sandman, which, of course, we just recently reported on as well. You could check out that report on our channel if you haven't already. And by the way, press like on this video if you haven't already, too. Anyway, carrying on. It says, CNN falsely claims Merkel chose G20 location to hurt Trump. Sean Davis again here says, Nunes sues CNN for defamation following false Vienna collusion story. 61 hacks who peddled collusion and should never be trusted again. Report, James Clapper leaked dossier briefing to CNN, lied about it. CNN Journalism Award winner exposed as massive fraud. CNN's favorite con artist indicted for stealing Stormy Daniels' book advance. Good old Avenatti. He's on in trouble again, actually. CNN just published a fake quote from Abraham Lincoln. CNN botches, refuses to correct the error. And this is CNN. All right. Eric Turner wrote in the chat. Remember Seth Rich? Absolutely. So it's no surprise that CNN is fudging information and causing all these problems. And I just this whole Bernie Sanders thing is laughable. First of all, I think it's a distraction, but second of all, I just find it hilarious to think that Bernie Sanders would say that women can't be president, can't beat Trump. It's just like he obviously didn't say that. Look, I've confronted Bernie face to face on our channel before that, though it got shadow banned and never even hit 10,000 views, even though it reached Fox News, etc. Anyway. Um, I've confronted him on his support for the Soviet Union, et cetera, et cetera. But this notion that he went up to Elizabeth Warren, who has no personality at all, is just the worst. Just I can't even. I don't know why anyone supports her. It blows my mind that there are human beings out there that actually like Elizabeth Warren. It's just so out of touch with reality. But the notion that Bernie Sanders would say to Elizabeth Warren that she can't win because she's a woman is just like, he obviously didn't say that. This is the worst pathetic attempt to save your campaign ever, Elizabeth Warren. And honestly, you should be ashamed. But it's politics, so it's all about a big circus and lying and deceiving in order to get elected and gain power. Milan Van S says, what's the breaking news here? I'm breaking down a bunch of breaking news. I went into Ukraine launching a criminal probe. I'm in this article now. We're going through several articles. That's what breaking news is all about, is that there's news that's breaking. I don't know why people get weird about that. Jeremy Galloway says, all the feminism and women screwing over men in courts, etc., has made me a misogynist, or whatever the word is. Jeremy Galloway says, women have more equal rights now. I Don't Matter says, until 5 years ago, I always thought the right would push for totalitarian control. Yeah, well, 5 years ago, I thought for sure it would be the left. It's all collectivism. It's all on the circle, really. But I mean, under Obama, dropping more bombs than any president in history, I thought for sure that things would get even more insane under Obama. But it's just like a prolonged situation. Reverb256 says, don't be anti-woman, just be anti-feminism. I agree. Adam says, Digibyte by the people, for the people, and of the people. Digibyte had a pretty decent day today, I believe. Adam. Crouton Scarf says, John says, CNN has always had great reporting. Going back to Charles Jaco. Yeah, that was great. The Scud missiles jumping and ducking on a green screen set. That was good. War propaganda, that's what CNN's best at. War propaganda and making people hate each other and attack each other under the guise of spreading equality and justice. It's just like, I don't know how people watch CNN and don't go like crazy watching it, like just get angry. And I mean, these are the entities that, by the way, like CNN, Disney with ABC covering up for Epstein, as a recent Project Veritas leak showed. Amy Robach, sitting on this story for years when she could have stopped Epstein, when there's now evidence that Epstein went after girls as recent as 2018. And nothing happens. Nothing happens. I mean, BBC covered up for Jimmy Savile, who was the most notorious pedophile of all time and trafficker, etc., and was close with Prince Charles and all that kind of stuff. And, BBC covered up for them alongside Buckingham Palace. And then with the Project Veritas leak, ABC covered up with Disney for Epstein alongside, thanks to Buckingham Palace and the Clinton family. Let's see. Crod7435 says, you think Iran will go to war with the USA? No, the USA will go to war with Iran. Iran has no ability to properly go to war with the US. Just considering now they're saying that the U.S. hacked their missile defense system and caused that shoot down of the plane, which is actually a lot more believable than them accidentally doing it on a public runway in one of the most busiest airports in the world after takeoff, or doing it on purpose and shooting themselves in the foot. Grambo says statism is a devil. Agreed. It's definitely evil. Adam says, Josh, you should go into digi assets built on the Digibyte blockchain as well as the Digidollar. This will allow for transition of fiat onto the blockchain. Very pumped. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Digibyte. New Age says, you think Bitcoin all-time highs in? I don't know what you mean by in, but do you think that Bitcoin will hit all-time highs? I think certainly eventually. I think I'm waiting mostly on the halving. I'm pretty excited with the way people are looking at it as a safe haven recently, which has caused a major pump. I actually think that overall we should be waiting for the halving and a couple months after the halving, as usually what happens is they have the production and the scarcity grows, and that causes demand to meet that scarcity, and you see it pump basically every time. So I'm looking forward to that. Um, Eric Turner says, Josh, they do go crazy watching CNN. It's crazy that these entities at this point, people are allowing. I mean, with popular demand, people moving away from things like CNN and Fox News. With popular demand, people are allowing CNN, Fox News, ABC, all these people that cover up for pedophile rings like Epstein are getting bigger and bigger on YouTube because YouTube's forcing it on people and hiding content like this. We have 98 people currently watching out of 136,000 people. How do you think that happens? It's called shadow banning, and it's something that we're quite used to here at WAM. So make sure to press like if you haven't already on this video. It helps with the algorithm. But I mean, we're basically doomed as a media right now on YouTube, which is why we're on float.app. And check the links below, guys. There's a bunch of them. flote.app. It's a future of social media, replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one, with encrypted messaging, monetization on videos, which is incentive for creators, as well as super chats that you could do in crypto on live streams on Float, and it has no algorithm, so you see what you want to see. So yeah, I mean, that's where I'm gonna be when YouTube takes this channel down, which they will. flote.app. Float. Anyway, got more questions coming in. Eric Turner says gold over crypto. Well, that's your choice, man. I mean, it's up to the individual. But I think diversification is key, and we can't escape the fact that the future is digital. It just is. Let's see. Barlight Broker says, we are screwed, man. I can't explain things to people fast enough. You don't have to. It's about replacing the old guard with the new guard, with new technologies, with new ideas. It's about evolution over revolution. It's about creating, tyranny comes under the guise of convenience. Well, we can push we can push freedom under the guise of convenience as well. We just have to create new things to replace the old systems. Uber does that. Airbnb does that. I mean, you can look at a bunch of other things. Bitcoin does that in a lot of ways. Waze did that with traffic stops, etc. Saved people millions of dollars in traffic tickets. I mean, I believe that it's going to come down to incentive, competition on the free market rather than revolution at the end of the day when it comes to replacing. They're not going to go away easy, but I think that's going to be the number one thing in replacing the old guard system. Press like on this video. Check those links below. Get a t-shirt from our Teespring store. There's so many options there, and I really hope you help us out and help allow WAM to grow by purchasing one of our t-shirts or any of our merchandise. We have phone cases as well. Jeremy Galloway sent $10 in the super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. He says, just donation. Thanks for what you do. I truly, truly appreciate your help. It goes a long way here. Seriously, that's all the money I've made today. So I really appreciate that. All those super chats are what keeps this media alive, as we're demonetized 97% now, about 97% since last January, and we are down, shadow banned 85% from the viewership we used to have, as Susan Woznicki, the CEO of YouTube, comes in and says that she is hiding controversial content, quote unquote, by 70%, and it's worse for us. So, I mean, take that as it is, but those super chats are literally what's keeping us alive right now. There are new stories coming out about Jeffrey Epstein that I want to get into, and I'm going to bring that up on the screen. This is breaking news as of today. It's the kind of stuff that I'll make sure that I can't possibly make a cent on YouTube. Marshmallow Duck says, hi Josh. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. So let's see this news here. As it says... Oh, there is a thing that decided to pop up on my screen here. Okay, get rid of that. All right. Anyway, as it says from the Daily News, evidence in Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy suggests perv financier was murdered, according to pathologists. And we've been reporting on Michael Bodden's research for a while. It appears he has now been on Dr. Oz. Interesting. It's weird how some of this stuff is allowed to be in the news, and it makes me highly suspicious, to be honest. But as it says in this article here, Autopsy photos of Jeffrey Epstein's burst capillaries, suggest the disgraced financier was strangled in his Manhattan jail cell, a former city medical examiner said in a TV interview. Epstein likely died from manual strangulation, according to forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden, in an interview on Dr. Oz that aired Thursday. Baden's theory contradicts the current city medical examiner's position that the convicted pedophile hanged himself in August at Manhattan Correctional Center. And I quote here, it says, in a hanging, the arteries and the blood vessels, the veins are both clogged off, and the person is pale. The face is pale, Baden told Oz. And so let's just make this clear. Epstein didn't kill himself. We were talking about how he might be murdered or Clinton long before that. We've been talking about Epstein since 2008 or something, 2007 when I first heard of him, in media since at least 2013 at Wham. And, people thought it was all conspiracy theory, and then he got arrested again, even though he was already convicted before, and people were hanging out with him, and there's evidence that he was still molesting little girls as young as 11, as recent as 2018. So he's got all these connections to all these famous people, politicians, celebrities, etc. Bill Clinton going on the Lolita Express, I believe, 27 times, ditching Secret Service 12 of those times at least. And there's photos that have emerged recently that show Bill Clinton on the Lolita Express with one of Epstein's sex slaves, Shantae Davis. Epstein's brother himself said that Epstein didn't kill himself. All of his accusers are saying Epstein didn't kill himself. It's getting more and more obvious by the day, and it just tells you that if this is what they're allowing us to see and allowing us to look into, imagine how important the information was that he held on to, that they would prefer keeping under wraps by causing an obvious conspiracy that no one buys, even the most skeptical people. As it says here, with manual strangulation, there's a backup of a pressure, and the little capillaries can rupture, and they're best seen in the eye, said, referencing an autopsy photo showing red splotches along the inner lower lid of Epstein's left eye. Continuing on, it says, Baden, who was hired by Epstein's brother Mark to investigate the death, also said photos of the accused sex trafficker's pale legs lent further proof to this theory. Continuing on, it says, and I quote, the blood settles after we die. The so-called lividity, if you're hanging, the lividity is on the lower part of the legs. These would be like maroon or purple front and back, and they aren't, he said. Rumors have swirled around the Epstein hanging since correctional officers found him dead on August 10th, and after the bizarre revelation that surveillance footage from outside Jeffrey Epstein's cell during a failed suicide attempt was destroyed. It's absurd. An initial autopsy report said the multimillionaire, who was awaiting trial on charges he sex trafficked underage girls in 2005, was deemed inconclusive. On August 16th, the city's medical examiner changed the report to hanging by suicide. And I quote here, one of the things the family wishes to know, and the estate wishes to know, is what was that additional information that caused them to change it, Baden said. The famed forensic pathologist told CBS 60 Minutes last week that a sketch of the noose on the autopsy report doesn't appear to match the ligature wounds on Epstein's neck, and that correctional officers violated prison protocol when they moved his body from his jail cell. So it's more revelations here, and there's a timeline here. I'm not going to go into all that, but more revelations that show that Epstein didn't kill himself. I know, it's so surprising. I think literally everyone, even Michael Shermer of Skeptic magazine, who literally thinks every conspiracy theory, quote unquote, is nonsense the second he ever hears of it. Even he's like, this is really sketchy, really strange. There's something wrong here. We got to look deeper into that. It says a lot. John Hare sent $3.99 in the super chat. Thank you so much. Says, keep it up. Really enjoy the honest reporting. I truly appreciate your help. It means a great deal. to us here at WAM. It's literally all we're surviving on right now. So you guys are making sure that we're able to do this on a daily basis, reporting every single day on different stories from around the world. So I really, truly appreciate that. We have to reject the same media that covered up for Epstein for years, as ABC, Disney did, as BBC covered up for people like Jimmy Savile. I mean, these people are sick. Imagine covering up for a massive pedophile ring. I mean, think of how sick the people making those decisions truly are, which is why we need independent medias to not allow these medias to cover up for these horrible people. These people deeply entrenched in the elite, as Ricky Gervais says, shut up, I know he was your friend, to all the celebrities at the Golden Globes. Barlight Broker sent $2 in the super chat, says, never forget the government did 9/11. I appreciate the super chat a lot, man. It goes a long way, so thank you very much. Appreciate it. Make sure to press like on this video if you haven't already. New Age says Epstein's still alive. Now, here's the thing. I think that there's a great chance that Epstein is still alive, dead man switches and all that kind of stuff, but there's also a good chance he isn't. I mean, we just have to follow the money and go cui bono, who benefits in this situation, and who benefits the most from Epstein being alive, and who benefits the most from him being dead. I mean, they kill their own just because they are working with people in government. And, Epstein was with Ghislaine Maxwell was an agent for maybe Mossad or the CIA or whatever, getting blackmail on celebrities and politicians. Doesn't mean that they'll keep them alive. They'll throw them under the bus in a second. Now, if they have a dead man switch, that's possible. And they could be, he could be holding on to a bunch of information that would severely, bring a lot of people under. Ronald Doucette said no DNA taken from the body. Yeah, well, even if they did, they could just, if he's alive, they could just take fake DNA or just take his DNA from him and say, look, we got evidence. But no, I mean, the chances of him being dead or alive, I don't know. But one thing I know for sure is that he didn't kill himself. 100% did not kill himself. I mean, it's obvious to literally anyone. Very few people I know of actually think that he killed himself, because he was about to be able to get out of jail. He would have had bail. He could have gotten away with it. Really, he's gotten away with it before, and even though it was all over the news, accusations are one thing, evidence is another, and I believe that there is evidence, but I think that he was part of the government operation to gather evidence on other people. So take that however you might, but I think that one way or another, he didn't kill himself, that's for sure. So it's interesting to see these news stories coming out, like this headline here from the New York Post. Disturbing evidence in Jeffrey Epstein's autopsy points to his murder, according to pathologists. And again, they show him on Dr. Oz, which I'm slightly shocked to see. Of course, there's that bone in his neck that broke, allegedly, and that only happens in strangulation cases. But, I mean, another question with that, I guess, is that why would they be coming out about this information showing that his eyes burst in this thing, which means strangulation? Why would they be coming out with that evidence if he was still alive? I mean, that doesn't help their situation. That just adds to the situation, makes it worse. And it's like, well, so for people to think he's dead and distract them from the fact that he's alive. But why? I mean, why? The dead man switch, that could be manipulated. I don't know. It's a big question. But one thing I know, again, is that he didn't kill himself. Really helps with the super chats, so thank you very much to everyone who sent super chats. Make sure to press like on this video and check those links below. We'll get into more right away. Looking for the latest breaking news here. There's stuff about Iran. I don't know. I've reported a lot on Iran in the last week or two, and it's getting it's just a perpetuation of this attempt to go to war and prop up the military-industrial complex. Shinobi Wan says, bro, I didn't get notified when your stream began. Yeah, most people don't, no matter how many times they click to be notified. They only show maybe 1.5% to 2% of people who click to be notified that were online. So that's shadow banning. That's a state of shadow banning today. We were getting very few viewers on this particular broadcast out of 136,000 people. And keep in mind that the medias that have 10,000 subscribers will get 800 people watching at a time on average on their videos. And here I am with 136,000 subscribers and 82 people watching. My Ogans says, we appreciate you with a heart. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for those that watch. I really appreciate it. Make sure to bookmark, I guess, the WAM page and check back regularly. It's really the only way at this point because they don't notify most people. Shinobi wants a New Zealand and $3.49 and says a thank you to Prometheus. They can't take my fire. I really appreciate the super chat. Again, those make a massive, massive, massive difference here at WAM. Send in your questions and we'll get to as many of them as we can. And make sure to press like on the video. At least get these likes over 100. It's at 69 right now as I say this. So I don't know. There's lots of news about Tesla autopilot crashes, and what I find interesting about that is that it's like the chances of a self-driving car crashing are so much less than a normal human driving car, but people keep freaking out because it's new and unknown. And I get where people are coming from. You don't want a bunch of automated cars to bring you to the gulags, but nonetheless, it's the way that technology is going, and people are spreading a lot of fear about it. And I don't think it's reasonable. My Ogan says, as soon as I start working again, I will support. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Says, Virtual Moida says, be smart enough to use the things that you do know to learn about the things that you do not know. Well, I would agree that that's important. Shane Karubi says, I get your notifications. Yeah, you're part of the 1.5 to 2% of people that actually do. Most people do not get notified when we do videos, which is very, very unfortunate. Logan Nab says, think Bernie can get the nomination? No. I don't think he can, and I don't think he should, obviously. But with that said, this craziness, as we reported earlier on in this video, this craziness of Elizabeth Warren claiming that he said that she can't win because she's a woman is so hilarious that it's just absurd. It's so ridiculous, like, as if he did that. That's so nobody believes that, and it's just her desperation. It's just so lame and so pathetic. But no, I don't think Bernie can win the nomination. Maybe of the Democratic Party, possibly. I doubt it, but definitely not the presidency. And I predicted Donald Trump would be president back in August of 2015, when not that long after he announced, and everyone thought I was crazy. You could check our videos back then. Ragistic says, I remember back in the days, scientists and teachers always said question everything. Now, if you do question anything, you're an expletive, bad word, and not an American. You're basically, they bring Holocaust connotations at you. You're a denier or something like that. If you question literally anything ever, you must just regurgitate and repeat after them. And that is how brainwashing works. That's why the movie They Live has become not a documentary anymore. Not a movie anymore. It's a documentary at this point. Bob Lazar says, good to watch informed people like Wham. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you tuning in. It makes a massive difference. Just pressing like on this video makes a difference. Jason Brown sent a £2 super chat, says, just chipping in. It's definitely appreciated, Jason. Those chip ins are what's keeping us up and running. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you. Caleb Blair says, you're my favorite. I appreciate that as well. Thanks for the kind words. My Ogan says, the black holes in our atmosphere. I did have a strange article up, but I hadn't gotten into it yet, so I'm kind of concerned about just jumping into it. But there's some really interesting things happening naturally to the Earth right now. Zero Hedge has an article called Seven Major Earth Changes Happening Right Now that everyone needs to know about. And it's a really long article, so I'm not going to go into it. But anyway, let's see where I was here. Jeremy Galloway says, if you had to guess, how long do you think before you know what hits a fan? Do you think it'll be anarchy? Well, first of all, it'd be great if it was anarchy, but anarchy is what happens every moment that the government's not involved in an issue. But with that said, do I believe that it'll hit the fan soon? It should, but it should have back in 2008, 2012, 2015, in September of 2015, and it should have happened at the end of 2018. It's so perpetuated. They can print so much money. They, manipulate and centralize everything to such an insane extent that it's impossible to say because the fundamentals are off the table. There's no way to predict exactly when. We just know it will happen, and it has happened every time, and it will continue to happen because all fiat currencies eventually revert to zero. Eventually, by the way, make sure to press like on this video if you haven't already. We're above 100 people watching again. So when will it hit the fan? Will it happen soon? I don't know, but I do know that we can expect it to happen, and people need to be prepared. And we're seeing a huge move into crypto right now. We're seeing a huge move into gold and silver right now, and private ownership of gold is at 50-50 levels, ratios, like never before. So I definitely think that we're seeing people react to it, and many institutional investors, a lot of banks are looking at it. Deutsche Bank's talking about it, and almost every major bank is laying off ridiculous amounts of people, despite the negative interest rate policies that are coming up in the near future, in the United States, Canada, Australia, Britain, and in Europe in general. Shinobi1 says Josh is master level newsman. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, and as for the anarchy part, Jeremy, I do think that people will just ease into another system. There will be a lot of chaos for those that didn't prepare, unfortunately, but many of us will have, and there will be a somewhat smoother move than I think people expect into alternative currencies. Shane Karubi says, if you question, there's a lot of disorders now in medicine to take care of that pesky question asking. Yeah, it make you stupid. Fluoride, hydrofluorosilicic acid, byproduct of aluminum and phosphate mining. Kim Beckett says, that's Liz's way. She is so lame. I know, Elizabeth Warren, I know, it's just brutal. New Age says Uranus will retrograde in Taurus next August. Then Bitcoin will peak in July 2020, then dump slowly towards the end of the year. I don't know about that prediction. It's really hard to say the latter, but Virtual Moida says the modern school system is part of the problem. Teachers have become cogs in a machine. Well, it's an indoctrination camp. It's a government indoctrination camp. Do you want, like, since when did it become, reasonable to have your kids brainwashed by the government in education camp? Indoctrination, really. And people just accept it, and people get their kids taken away often when they try to homeschool. I mean, it's just insane. What happened to the parents owning or having some, ownership in some way over their kids, and not having the government own their children? As what's that saying? It takes a village to raise a child or something. Andrew Gibson says they think they have a 9/11 style false flag in the works to kick off Iran-Russia conflict. Very, very likely. I can't see it not being the case. Tunkaruchu Khan says that was the lead of the They Live's last tweet. Tunkaruchu Khan says you quoted his last tweet before dying. Oh, right. That's true. He did die right after doing something or writing a tweet to the same effect. Shinobi One says pole shifting is well underway for the last 50 to 80 years. Yeah, and I believe that the poles actually switch over, the magnetic poles switch over on the Earth much more often than people realize, or at least semi-shifts, which Graham Hancock has gone into a lot in the past as well. The Vincent says those are people running our government. We should have anarchy. Hail Slab City, lol. Marie says, Josh, have you heard about our birth certificates being traded on Wall Street? See each Stone's interview with BB Bacchus. Yeah, I know. It's about corporate fiction, as they call it, and capital in Canada. We have capital letter names as corporations on a birth certificate. We have two birth certificates, your regular declaration of birth, and then the government corporate birth certificate that people utilize the most. Unfortunately, there's a long form, and then there's a little birth certificate that you get that is basically government's ownership, the social contract, so to say, over you. B. Trasbit says, I'm betting that the US dollar will be the first fiat currency to not go to zero. Never before happened. Seems like good odds. US dollar never going to zero. Wait until people lose faith in it. That's literally all it's based up on or held up on. Unless the world ends tomorrow, the chance that the US dollar will never be worth nothing is absurd, with all due respect. My, Ogan says, do you get a lot of threats or weird things happening because of your reporting? Yeah, I get death threats almost every single day, and a lot of weird things have happened to me. And people get questioned a lot when they come see me, and they tell people at the airport that they're coming to see me if they're crossing a border. It's weird. I've been pulled aside so many times by the Department of Homeland Security. I've been questioned countless times. I've been held at gunpoint by government officials in other countries around the world, all sorts of stuff. Used to be followed a lot, but then it stopped happening when they realized I didn't get paranoid, which is usually the main reason why people get followed, is to make them scared so they stop doing whatever they're doing. It's all just a fear tactic, and I don't buy it. White Pill XX says hi, hello to you. Yeah, so I don't get scared of things like that. I mean, the number one thing they try now is to make me financially incapacitated. They shadow ban me so that people that want to see my videos don't see my videos. So no matter how hard I work, the harder I work, they try to take me down more. And on top of that, I can't make any money anymore posting videos, which is why I'm selling everything I own and moving as a nomad to the other side of the world so I can actually be able to produce content on a regular basis without being homeless. I'm going to be homeless, but it'll be in a different way. It's like $150 to $350 a month rent with all bills included and fully furnished in places like the islands of Greece, which isn't the worst thing ever. But yeah, I mean, I have to sell all my stuff except for my clothes, cameras, and microphone and laptop to be able to continue doing this, because YouTube has gone out of their way to make sure that I can't make money anymore. So the only way I make money is from you guys donating, pledging, subscribe to our Patreon, stuff like that. $5 or more a month. I do subscriber only content. I do exclusive content to float.app, flote.app. I'm at Josh Sigurdsson as well as at Wham. Again, that's flote.app. And I do a lot of stuff for there's GoFundMe as well. There's Teespring stores where people can support, and again, those super chats make a huge difference. There's crypto addresses in the description that you can tip to as well, several of them. So if you want to send crypto, we have that down there as well. Tunkaruchu Khan says Native American boarding schools were the foundation of U.S. education. The Native American schools run by white people, the residential schools, are absolutely horrible, and a lot of children got molested, murdered, just horrible stuff, stolen by government from their families, and perpetuating a welfare system as well. Virtual Moida says different scientific laws / theories. Bob Lazar says major wars start every 100 years. Early 20th century, World War I, World War II. Now in 21st century, we're in prime spot for both an economic collapse and World War. Well, they prop up one another. They aid each other. I mean, there was an economic collapse leading into World War II as well, and the creation of the Fed leading into World War I. Marie says, sorry, it was Sasha Stone's interview. All right. Shane Karubi says, I got in trouble trying to homeschool my kids here in California. It was over vaccinations. And now it's mandatory for all kids, no opt-outs. Yeah, and YouTube makes it so I can't even talk about that issue anymore if I don't want my channel to be taken down. And that means I have to sacrifice all other messages for one message. So I instead sacrifice one message for all messages, make the point clear that everyone should have the right to do whatever the hell they want in their life as long as they're not hurting anybody or forcing things on anyone, coercing people. And the kind of videos that you're talking about regarding vaccines would be on our Float account, because I cannot talk about that on YouTube anymore. They'll just take down my channel, plain and simple, and not let me get it back. Andrew Gibson says, do you believe the Bible? It says the money changers put together a one world government shortly. UN gets broken and rebuilt with more control. Well, I mean, there's nothing to disbelieve about the money changers in the Bible, and overturning the table, whipping them, and shooing them out, and freeing all the animals and all that kind of stuff too. I think there was a great message there about individual freedom and good versus evil. Beastmaster X says, get a camera mount. Yeah, I want one. Usually I do these live streams on my laptop with a good camera and be able to clip in and out of things, but my laptop crashed, so I can no longer do that. Anyway, for those that haven't already, make sure to press like on this video. I really appreciate anything you guys can do to help, and check those links below. Really, really helpful, anything you guys can do. Virtual Moida says, in other words, the multiverse overlaps universes in different ways, dimensions, creating pockets which seem to obey multiple laws. Shane Karubi says, good for you in New Jersey. Shinobi Wan sent another New Zealand 349 death threats. I will threaten you with life. That's a that might even be worse. No, I'm just kidding. If they say it's suicide, they definitely murdered me. I really appreciate those super chats. It makes a huge difference here at WAM. And again, for those that haven't heard me say this a million times, it's the only way we make money here at WAM. So those super chats are literally keeping us alive. It makes an entirely huge difference compared to what would happen otherwise, because we wouldn't be making any money at all. And it's pretty tough times in independent media, but it's more important than ever to win this information war. My, Ogan says the airplane dumping fuel on kids. My dad was an aircraft mechanic. He cleaned the fuel tank once and started having hallucinations and then brain tumor in his brainstem, then death. Yeah, this dumping of fuel, and I'm sorry to hear, by the way, this dumping of fuel on kids, what the hell is that about? I haven't actually read enough into that story yet, so I can't break that down properly for you, but it's pretty crazy that it appears that it happened on purpose. Maybe not on the kids, but maybe over a population on purpose. I don't know. I got to read into that more. Shane Karubi says, I grew up next to an Air Force base. Rogue Agent says, major wars happen every 15 to 50 years if you keep your civilization tribalistic and patriarchal. BT Rasbit says, never before has a fiat currency not gone to zero. However, never before has the US dollar gone to zero. Yeah, well, the U.S. dollar has lasted longer than any other currency, but fiat currency. But I mean, that doesn't change the fact that it will go to zero. It's going to take the right crisis, I guess you could say. Johan van der Merwe says, P.S. Paul Begley is also a great resource who covers a lot of strange stuff happening in the world, end time prophecy, Nibiru, etc. All right. Yeah, I know of him. BT Rasbit says, I use Logic Trick. Rogue Agent says, as far now, they might just do a heavy stagnation like they've done in Japan, since they are so thoroughly afraid of having World War III. I think the establishment would love World War III. More subservience, 98% income taxes, everyone bowing down, drafts, etc. That seems like the perfect situation for them. Rogue Agent says, it's hard to say exactly how long they could potentially keep this thing going. Let's see. Stofke86 says, it's taking away the sun, chemtrails. Shinobi Wan says, how much of the 349 do you receive? Or how much does YouTube take? They're supposed to only take 30%, though often I've watched them steal over 75% of our super chats, but I've called them on it, and either way, it makes a difference. It's the easiest way for people to donate without us, so that we can actually survive as a media. So it makes a huge world of difference. Michaela Curley says, I started a YouTube playlist called Josh. Well, thank you very much. Hopefully people type in Josh and that comes up. Because, recently we posted a video on float.app showing how, and it's a screen grab video, if you look up Justin, or why I called Trudeau a scumbag, which is the name of one of our videos, one of our biggest videos when I confronted Justin Trudeau face to face. It made international news, was the #1 trend on Twitter worldwide for 2 days, scumbag Trudeau. I looked up why I called Trudeau a scumbag, the name of the video. And it was on the 4th or 5th page of YouTube. After it had 80,000 views, and all the other videos before it had like 100 views at the most. It's just absolutely ridiculous and shows how insanely shadow banned we are here at WAM. It's so depressing. It's so sad to watch. Freeman McCoy sent $4.99 in the super chat. Thank you very much. And so did the Vincent sent $5 in the super chat. Says, this is where I come for objective reporting. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Those super chats are seriously very important to us. Again, like I said before, pressing like on this video is important to us. Sending those super chats is important to us. All of that kind of stuff helps us put food on the table and allows us to post videos on a daily basis. Without you guys sending those super chats, we would be so insanely doomed. I can't even tell you how insanely doomed we truly would be. So I really do appreciate those super chats. It makes a world of difference. So thank you again. Make sure to press like on this video if you haven't already. We're at 94. Let's get over 100 likes here on this video for the sake of the algorithm later on, because once I finish this live stream, the video will be hidden forever, and it basically will freeze at the viewership that it's had so far throughout the video. It's really ridiculous. Jeremy Galloway says slavery is about extraction of labor. Bob Lazar, well, yeah, and that's what taxation is. Bob Lazar, black chemtrails here in the UK looked like engines were on fire. Lisa Warren says they spray us daily with chemicals: aluminum, barium, strontium, coal ash, sulfur, and lithium. I had my rainwater tested. Absolutely, and I mean fluoride, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the byproduct of aluminum and phosphate mining and smelting. It's pretty disgusting. It causes Alzheimer's and all sorts of crazy stuff like that. What's your prob? Says hi, hello to you, good to see you as always. Rogue Agent says I'm seeing that none of the major countries are tribalistic right now. Rika the hopeful volunteer says WTF 75%. Yeah, that has been known to happen before. I had a day once where I got $550 in super chats in one day, which is amazing. It was our best ever for that. It was really great to see all the support from viewers. And then that day I got $130 total for everything, including monetization. They deleted all of our monetization for the day and tried to equal it out to what we were getting with the super chats, cut down like 75%. It was really bad. So yeah, YouTube's criminal in that sense, and we've called them out about it, but it's still better than nothing. Seriously, it's what keeps us alive. But again, there's GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribe Star below. There's Float.app you could pledge on. There's that's flote.app. We're at Josh Sigurdsson as well as at Wham on there, and all of those help a lot. It makes a major difference. There's crypto addresses below that you can donate to, as well as our Teespring store where you can buy t-shirts and merchandise and help support independent media while at it. You could also go to Anarchapulco, get tickets at anarchapulco.com and use promo code WHAM, W-A-M, and that will benefit you and us, and it's a 10% off tickets, I believe. So it makes a difference because the tickets are up there in price. Ronald Doucette says, keep them divided is what it is all about. Absolutely. Infighting. It causes infighting, and we fight with each other and are distracted from the major enemy that's rubbing their hands together and laughing at us as we scuffle with each other. Rogue Agent says, true, World War III is too risky. Well, I would say that even with that said, we're already in World War III. I think we're more heading to World War IV at this point, aren't we? How do we go down in likes? If we need to get above 100 likes on this video, so make sure to press like on this video if you haven't already. We're at 95. What's your props? Is attention, FundVax. Type that in the UT search and watch. You won't believe your ears. Thanks for the heads up. Lisa Warren says, Mike Morales' wife got in a car accident and was med-flighted. I'll have to look into that. Shinobi Wan says the people do not want World War III. The people don't. That's why the people always vote. Like George W. Bush ran on a non-interventionist policy, so did Clinton. As did Obama, as did Trump. Well, how has that worked out for anyone? It wins elections to be anti-war, but the establishment is much larger than that, the global establishment. So we know where that goes next after that. Anti-Gubernator sent $2 in the super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it very much. And again, makes a huge difference here at Wham. So those super chats, big thumbs up to that. Thank you very much. BitRazbit says, what needs to be emphasized is that the banking system is in contradiction to thermodynamics. That's an interesting take. Virtual Moida says, slavery is American life. I wish it wasn't, believe me. As a person with native blood and Mayflower blood and American Revolution blood, I really wish it wasn't. Well, it went downhill the second the Constitution was signed. I'm sorry. Constitution is a great document, but it's just ink on paper, and it signified the U.S. as a government rather than a voluntary place where people just live freely and paid into things that they wish. Declaration of Independence was one of the greatest documents ever written and heavily based on the Magna Carta. I do believe that, the United States was taken over around 1791 with the creation of the first central bank pushed by Alexander Hamilton on George Washington, which ended up, I believe, getting brought down by about 1799, and then a new one came up in 1812 during the War of 1812, and was taken down by Andrew Jackson in 1833, followed by the greatest period of economic history in American history, except for the Civil War, and then going into 1913 at the creation of the Fed at Jekyll Island, where the Red Pill Expo 2020 is going to be. It's going to be in Jekyll Island, Georgia, at the site of the crime, where the Federal Reserve was created. So make sure to use promo code WHAM if you are going to get tickets to the next Red Pill Expo because you'll save money on your tickets and we will benefit as well. And it'll be good times had by all because it will be literally at the site where the Federal Reserve was created at G. Edward Griffin's conference. That's the Red Pill Expo. Anyway, Truth, Money, and Freedom says, hey, Josh. Hi there, Wham Crew. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us as always. Always good to see you. Again, make sure to press like if you haven't already on this video, guys. I really appreciate it. All of that. Virtual Moida said, this is the way to get support. Kudos. Thank you very much. Marshmallow Ducks says Atlantis will return. Absolutely will. This is certainly the story of civilization collapsing and then having to rise up from the primordial waters of its grave. Absolutely, that is the case. And we've seen that in the Edfu building texts and Sumerian texts and the Greek as far as Atlantis goes, and Aztec, Mayan, Inca, and Olmec stories and biblical stories of Noah's Ark, etc. Repopulating the Nile, repopulating the Euphrates and the Tigris. I'm actually doing a show for National Geographic right away in, I think, collaboration with Netflix and Disney+. They wanted me to be interviewed for the show originally in Morocco, which I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. I've been to Marrakesh before. They wanted me to go there. But what happened was, I would have had to leave on February 5th, get there on February 6th after an all-night flight, and then immediately be interviewed and then leave on February 7th back to Vegas, where then I'd have to go to Anarchapulco, where I'm going to be a speaker at Anarchapulco. And I just thought that sounded like torture. Well, it turns out they changed it, so I'm going to LA in the end of February instead for this part on this show to talk about my experience at the Reshot structure in Mauritania in May of 2019, which was definitely a life-changing experience. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Rogue Agent says, I think working at McDonald's is slavery. I mean, wages, you're mentioning wages and stuff. It's not slavery. People voluntarily doing things is not slavery, even if their life sucks. The fact of the matter is wages won't change anything anyway because it's inflation that's causing the wage to not buy things. So you raise wages and you will simply just see businesses leave to places where the laws aren't as strict. And more unemployment will mount. The labor force participation rate is where you should be looking for that unemployment. And what happens next? The wages still don't buy things, and if they brought it up, it would still go level with the price of living anyway, so it wouldn't make a difference. If you look at John Williams' shadow stats, we're looking at 11% plus inflation overall based on the 1980 standards. So that should be known. The problem with, poverty and homelessness, et cetera, today is based entirely on inflation. It's not wages at all. And if people want to work at McDonald's, or whether they want to or not, if they end up working there, it's their responsibility to get themselves up on their feet in life, just like it's mine, where I'm trying to bridge myself from YouTube to other alternatives like Float, because they're shadow banning us and killing us and making us bankrupt. And you guys help in so many ways that I really, truly appreciate with Super Chats, GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar. But it's all during the transition. Once I get the transition going, we will be able to get on our feet and we won't have to worry about this and be as dependent on the viewer anymore, because I hate having to ask for it. But right now we're just going through a tough time as we transition. But it's all about responsibility and how you get yourself up on your feet and think of the next big goal on in doing this. This is why I'm selling all my possessions and moving to the other side of the world as a nomad, so I can keep posting videos, because I have to be homeless in order to do this. And so be it. Striving for spreading free information online is very important to me. Anyway, let's see. Michaela Curley says, I have some convincing photos of chemtrails taken from Corpus Christi, Texas. Awesome. Yeah, there's everywhere you go, basically. My Ogan says, do you think they start monitoring us based on speaking or typing keywords? How do you think they are alerted? Well, they monitor everything, but they don't have enough people to comprehend it. And even with AI, the amount of people that say like the word terrorist a day will get flagged, and it's impossible for people to monitor all of it. So I think it's more fear that they're monitoring us, and they're recording everything. But I think it's more fear that they're going to be able to do anything about it in the immediate future, in the immediate 10 years. That is keeping people on their, tippy toes, whispering away from their phone. But everyone just gives everyone information on Facebook, etc., and it's like having a bug, basically. And it's interesting because in the 60s it was my house bugged, and now it's like here's all the information the government needs. For Mark Zuckerberg, going to China, working with them on facial recognition, he's creating the new social credit system that China has over there, that he'll be utilizing Facebook to achieve. And with that, and the collection of data from there, they will decide if you have a good government credit score. If you say negative things about the government, then you won't be able to eat at certain restaurants. You won't be able to fly. You might not even be able to leave the country. You could go to jail. You can't buy things you'll be disassociated from. And while social credit can work great for individual businesses, it can be used extremely nefariously from a centralized level on a global or collective basis. So that is what we should be worried about going forward with things like Facebook, which is why you should move to float.app. Another reason to join flote.app, float.app. Highly recommend it. Rika, the hopeful voluntarist, says also in the Declaration of Independence. Chinese Checker says thoughts on the recent Bitcoin and crypto pump. Is this just for the halvening? The halvening pump will probably come about statistically usually 2 months after the halvening or more, 2 to 4 months. This is basically based on fear from Iran that has caused pumps in the market, which we could study from every story that was coming out about Iran, causing it to go higher, which shows that people look at it as a safe haven, which is good news, really, but really bad news for the global order. Well, not the global order. Really bad news for the global prevalence of individual liberty worldwide as bombs drop on people's heads. Truth, Money, and Freedom says, sure, I'll always give you a like, Josh. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Kim Beckett says, wow, Red Pill Expo at Jekyll Island. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really hoping that I see a lot of you there. It's going to be an amazing event. Red Pill Expo 2020 at Jekyll Island at the actual clubhouse where the Federal Reserve was created. Shinobi One says, Josh, you're selling all your stuff and moving. Will your missus go with you, or are you selling her off as well? No, she wouldn't appreciate that. Definitely not selling her off. And let's see. I'm just going through. There's a whole bunch. I'm just trying to scroll as much as possible. Chinese Checher says, don't sell your crypto. Agreed. And in my opinion, no investment advice. Gabriel Scheer says, communism is coming to the world. It already is. It's already here. Central banking. And the global wars. Military-industrial complex. Doug 209 says the algos are putting us all into sets. You're right. And even with that, we're still not even able to see most of the people we like and agree with. But yeah, they're trying to put us in bubbles. So we don't understand each other. We start speaking different languages as the Tower of Babel goes, and then we start fighting with each other, distracted from the real enemies. Seamus Michael Richard Duffy says, Josh, do you think anarcho-capitalism can come from a new confederacy like the 13 colonies? That's an interesting question. I'm not quite sure how to answer that, honestly. I'm going to have to think about that one. Let's see. My Ogan says, we need a North American Tea Party. Yeah, but it's just going to turn into more inconsistencies in politics and politics as usual. Rick the Hopeful Voluntarist says, float is groovy. The Chinese Checher says, are you on library credits? I am on library since 2017, but I still don't really completely get it. They've been trying to get me on a lot lately. I'm just focusing on Float and BitChute right now, but yeah, I just don't have time to focus on every single platform, but I'll try to get on there more. Make sure to press like on this video if you haven't already, guys. Alukia says the control of human interaction. Ray Jestik says anarchy does not mean the same anymore. It means whatever I say it means at the end of the day. Same with you. Everything's subjective anyway. When communists say they're anarchists, I just laugh and I'm like, yeah, okay. And up is down. Shinobi Wan says, we need the God Emperor of mankind ASAP. That would be you. Deep inside of you, you got that right there. Doug209 says 111 likes. Well, we're up to 113 now, so keep pressing like on this video if you haven't already. Truth, Money, and Freedom says, oh, hi there, Rika the Hopeful Voluntarist. I seem to see you everywhere I go on YouTube. And she definitely gets around here on the YouTube machine. Rika the Hopeful Voluntarist says, honest governments. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Let's see. Shinobi wants a Smithsonian has so many covered up. Absolutely, I agree. Ray Jestik says exactly. Anyway, so I got to the bottom of the comments here. Virtual Moida says, I live better as a gangster than I do now as a middle-class, overqualified welding foreman. Yeah, well, it's getting all your money stolen from, or at least half of it, isn't very helpful, is it? Feel you there. Well, Make sure, if you haven't already, to join us on float.app. That's flote.app. I'm at Josh Sigurdsson. I really appreciate the support, guys. Shinobi Wants and another New Zealand 349 says, thanks, Josh. We are the gods now. Yeah, I really truly appreciate the support, the super chats, the help. It all means a great deal to me, and it keeps us up and running, like I said before. Pressing like helps, sharing helps, pressing the bell to be notified helps, and bookmarking our channel page helps as well to check back and see our latest. And again, moving to these other alternatives like BitChute. Lisa Warren says, "Love you, Josh. Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. It is good to see so many people out there that are supportive. So that's float.app, flote.app. You can find us there on BitChute, on Minds, we're World Alternative Media. We're on Instagram at World Alternative Media. We're on Twitter at World Alt Media, and all sorts of different places. There's also addresses below for crypto that you could donate to and pledge to, or tip to. I really appreciate that. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar, $5 or more a month on Subscribestar gets you subscriber-only content. Same with on Float. You can subscribe there with a $5 or more pledge. But even $1 or more a month makes a great difference. Rogue Agent says, I enjoyed chatting with you guys. Thanks for reading some of my comments. Also, Josh, time for me to hit the gym. Adios. Well, have a good workout. Thanks for joining us. Virtual Moida sent $20 in the super chat. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that help. That's awesome. You are saving our life here with super chats like that. It really means a great deal. So thank you. That's awesome. Lisa Warren says, look through comments when done. My question wasn't answered. Thanks. There's a lot of questions. I didn't see all of them. My apologies. What happened with STEEMIT, says Awake Alex. I'm still there at Josh Sigurdsson. I was just locked out for a really long time from STEEMIT. I just got back in about 5 days ago into my STEEMIT account. I found a way on an old computer because it wasn't a different IP address or something. It was something weird like that. I am posting on STEEMIT. Again, at Josh Sigurdsson on STEEMIT. With the next crypto bull market, maybe something will come out of that that'll be pretty big. Ben Dover sent a peace sign. Oh, right. That's a terrible name. But again, I really appreciate the super chats. I really appreciate the help. Check out our Teespring store below where you can get merchandise and stuff like that. You can purchase T-shirts that say "End the Fed," "F the Fed." Ben Dover says, "No, it's funny as hell." Okay. I'm so tempted to do the okay boomer thing. But anyway, I appreciate you joining us. Make sure to check out that Teespring link below. Lots of cool stuff to check out and T-shirts to check out. Anyway, I'm getting tired. My voice is going. I appreciate everyone joining us. Make sure to press like on this video. Enka Bloza says, hi guys, you're a little late, but appreciate you tuning in. Ray Jestik says, get your merch. Yeah, definitely lots of merchandise in the Teespring store below that you can check out. So press like on the video, check that out, check out all those links, and I appreciate everyone tuning in. And again, thank you so much for those super chats. It goes a long way here. Encabloza says, damn, time for bed then. I'm guessing you are not anywhere near our time zone, but have a good night wherever you are in the world. Truth, Money, and Freedom says, thanks for the stream, Josh. As always, thank you for watching and getting around the notifications. Make sure to press like and press to be notified. Press the notification bell if it even works. Shadow banning, whatever. Anyway, that's it for today. Later brother, says Vincent. Again, thank you very much for the support. And this will be it for today. This is Josh Sigurdsson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.